The profession we're going to be talking about today is the chiropractic profession. And this may sound strange to you, it may sound new to you, but it's about the spine primarily, but not just about the spine. And we're going to go into that a lot further. I mentioned earlier that I had a personal experience. After a game of racquetball, I've been having lower back problems for a while. But racquetball is like squash. Some of you may know about it. I laid down on this big exercise ball, and just to drape myself over, just to relieve the tension in my back. And the next thing I know, doctor, is that I couldn't get up. I was stuck. For the life of me, I couldn't believe what was happening. I was even about to panic. I was like, what is going on? I couldn't get up. And eventually someone helped me up, and anyway, long story short, it took me a whole year of rehabilitation.
Wow.
To get that back into place. But it was the chiropractic that really, really made that happen, and thankfully I'm back in full force now, playing squash now instead of racquetball. But again, it's the chiropractic that helped me. I think this is going to take a couple of shows, not just one 25-minute show. We're going to have to talk about this in detail, because I think Nigerians, as we discussed, Nigerians need to know about this and need to know, again, how to take care of their own spines. Let's start with the most basic question. Why is the spine, the backbone, so important?
Okay, that is a very, very good question, and a good place to start. The spine houses the central nervous system. The spine, including the skull, houses the central nervous system.
The central nervous system, of course, is the brain.
And the spinal cord.
The spinal cord.
So the spinal column consists of the spinal cord coming from the brain and proceeding through the spinal column, which protects it from any kind of assault, and thereby, through the joints of the spine, sends nerves all over the body. Now, Gray's Anatomy, Chapter 1, the nervous system is the master system of the body. It controls and coordinates all functions of the body, and therefore, it is probably the most important part of our body in total. Now, it resides inside the spine, and if it becomes in any way impeded in its function, then wherever the nerve goes, there will be malfunction, both in muscular function, feeling and sensation, as well as internal organ function.
Well, so you're saying, Doc, that even the way our heart beats, and I'm seeing the liver here, I'm seeing the pancreas, and I'm seeing the intestines and the kidneys. You're saying it's the spine affects even those? The health of the spine affects those?
Exactly. Because once the spine is affected in any way, then there's a potential for any of these nerves to be affected. How does the spine affect the nerves? Well, we use our spine. The spine itself is the anchor for the weight of the body. The spine is the anchor for the weight of the body, and it is the axis of rotation for all our movements. And therefore, it is very easily subject to injury. A twist, a turn, as Dr. Ajibade pointed out while playing racquetball, a slip and fall, a car accident, all of these kinds of things can injure the spine. If an injury to the spine is not addressed, then definitely the nerves that pass through the gaps in the spine will be affected. Anything affected in the neck will affect structures in the head, neck, shoulders, and all the way down the arms.
Is that why sometimes people have this sensitivities, there are numbness in the hands.
Numbness in the hands, yes.
And
Achiness, muscle spasms.
muscle spasms, yeah.
All of these kinds of things. If it happens in the upper back, the person may feel these symptoms: pain, numbness, tingling, lack of coordination in the upper back and chest. If it happens in the lower back, the person will feel these kinds of sensations in the lower back, buttocks, thighs, and sometimes all the way down to the legs and the feet and the toes.
Speaking about lower back, it seems as if, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, the lower back is really where you get the most number of complaints. In fact,
This is probably true. Statistically, this is true. And it probably is because at this point in the spine, since we walk upright, this forms the base of the spine. And therefore, the weight that accumulates here is the highest. It's at the highest ratio. Starting with the skull weighing about 4 pounds, and then continuing on down, adding weight, then this area can be under a lot of stress. Plus, we tend to not pay attention to our posture. That's probably a whole other segment.
Yeah, I hear you on that, yeah.
And therefore, we subject ourselves to these kinds of injuries.
Right, because I remember I think it was a stadium revival I was watching one day, and they were like, okay, come with your different ailments and all that, and they just kept on hearing back pain. And of course, medicine has advanced to the point where you can do surgeries, you can fix a few things here and there, but it's not everybody that qualifies for that thing. And the question is, why do you have to wait until you qualify, right? And there are things that people ought to know that can help them take control of their spines, have better control?
Absolutely.
I tell you what, Doc, I'm going to take a quick break, and then we'll get back to what we're talking about in a few minutes. Stay with us, folks. All right, hi. So welcome back to Your Health in Your Hands, and I'm here with Dr. Oronti Ogun, who is a chiropractor based in Abuja here. I wish there were more chiropractors, for Pete's sake. I mean, why are you the only one, for Pete's sake?
Oh, well, I think maybe because people just haven't come to, understand that Nigerians need chiropractors as well.
So it's primarily a demand problem based on ignorance, not awareness? What is it?
I think that it's onto chiropractors themselves to take advantage of the situation, so to speak, and make themselves available. That's all that there is to it. I'm glad to be able to make myself available, and the results that have been happening as a result of me being here, I'm very satisfied and happy about it. But I wish that more people would have access. That's the only downside to being alone here.
well, I just hope you're not overworking yourself. So we're talking about why there's such a big problem with the lower back.
As a statistic, 80 to 90% of the population will suffer from some kind of spinal problem in their lifetime. Either neck pain that causes radiation and pain in the arms and hands, or low back pain that causes pain in the buttocks, thighs, legs, knees, all the way down to the feet. These kinds of things will happen to most people sometime in their lifetime. And the reason being that most of us don't pay attention to how to best use our spine. The best use of the spine can manifest through keeping good posture. That's where it starts.
Good posture. What exactly does that mean?
Okay. Even from primary school, even nursery school, they'll tell you sit it straight. When you're brushing your teeth, don't bend over. Things like this, stand straight up.
When you're texting and using your phone. That's a big problem too, I'm sure.
It's a big problem.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, there's a new diagnosis coming out saying something like techie neck.
Text neck, oh yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Goodness, yeah.
So it's terrible.
You're going to have a lot of patients in the years to come.
Oh, well, hopefully there'll be more chiropractors.
Hopefully, yeah, to take care of that.
Anyway, so these are the things that we need to pay attention to. How we sit, for example. Because if you think about it, throughout the day, if you're awake for 12 hours, it's very likely that you will sit for 6 or more of those hours. And that is critical, because if we are sitting that long in our lives, then that means that if we don't do it correctly, we should expect some kind of consequences.
And the consequences would be what? Malalignment? Is that where it starts?
That's where it starts.
Things begin to twist.
A misalignment of the spine.
Okay, let's get clearer. I know we have this thing here.
Yes.
So how does that play out? Is it that the bones will shift?
Absolutely.
Each other.
You can see in the spine there are 24 vertebrae from the base of the skull all the way down to the waist.
Okay.
And these 24 vertebrae are separated by discs. The vertebrae are made of bone, and the discs are made of fiber or cartilage. Now, what happens is, this is the normal shape of the spine when we are looking at it from a side view. In other words, you can see a sort of an S shape, just like that. When we're looking at it from the back, however, or straight on, we can see that it is absolutely straight. So this is how to maintain our spine in this fashion, with the curvatures and the straightness. Now the curvatures, what makes those curvatures straighten out is lack of good posture. We become used to sleeping on our stomach, for example.
I'm guilty of that.
Sleeping face down. We become guilty of slouching, especially on the couch while we're watching TV. And these kinds of things over the years will mount up, cause a straightening of the spine. So the spine will straighten up. Now, if there's an injury during this time, well, the spine can actually even move and lock. So, if the spine locks like this, then the person will definitely feel pain.
Right.
But this is not a dislocation. Now, it may be so benign, however, what the effect is on the spine will not manifest for another few years. And the effect will be that the spine will begin to join together in that area that has been traumatized. As the spine is joining together, joining one vertebra to the other, the vertebra that is injured or shifted, that one that has shifted, the body will now join the lower vertebra and the upper vertebra to that vertebra. That process will now entrap the nerves that pass through the joints of the spine. Once this happens, it must manifest in some kind of disease or ailment.
I see.
Therefore, it's important for us to maintain good posture throughout our lives, whether we're sitting, whether we're standing, whether we're sleeping. Because if we don't, eventually it will lead to disease and ailments.
Okay, that's a lot. And we have 1 minute left in this segment.
Okay.
But it seems to me that what you're saying is an action of the muscles. Is it the muscles that are causing these bones to lock in that position?
Well,
is it as a sign of protection?
Yes, it's very possible.
Okay.
Now, there are very many scenarios that can happen.
Okay.
There's quite a few things that can happen, but most importantly, remember I said that the injury comes from either an instantaneous injury, such as what I demonstrated, and then also from a series of what we call micro injuries or micro trauma.
From lost posture problems.
From posture,
and then sleep
lack
problems.
of good posture,
And all those
lack
things.
of maintenance. So once these injuries happen, then the body goes into what we call attack mode.
Attack mode. Okay. All right. We're going to get back. We're going to continue with this attack mode. That's intriguing, by the way. We're going to continue about this attack mode in a few minutes, so don't go away. Welcome back. So we are talking about your spine and what you can do to keep it healthy, and what the chiropractor, the role of the chiropractor, who is the, shall we call it, spine doctor? Is that a good way to do it?
That's not a bad way to look at it.
So spine doctor, what the spine doctor can do to help to improve the health of your spine. And don't be in doubt about this, folks. Your spine is critical to your health. Again, I'm still wondering why we only have one chiropractor in Abuja and one in, I believe there's one in Lagos as well.
Yes.
In the whole country? Are you kidding me? So I think we'll talk about that some more. Attack mode. That's the last thing we talked about before we left.
Okay. Now, attack mode. Doc was saying during the break that he would have expected me to say defense mode. Yeah, well, which is true. But by this time, the body is so, coordinated and controlled, and it works in such harmony that any small intruder, starting from a virus all the way to a bullet, there's a mode that the body will go into protecting itself. So when I say attack mode, what I really mean is the intruder has already entered. So now we must attack the intruder. So that's what I mean. Anyway, the body is programmed to defend itself. So the spine being critical for the defense of the nervous system and the spinal cord, anytime there's an injury to the spine, the automatic reaction of the body is to join the spine together and make it more bony, in which case it will eliminate all of the cartilage that we were talking about earlier. The cartilage will be eliminated and the bones will now begin to grow together. Obviously, this takes some time. It's a protective mode that the body goes into in order to protect that area of the spine. Now, however, because the bone is gathering around the nerves, which are soft tissue, they become impinged and entrapped within the bone. So wherever these nerves are projecting from the spine, that area now the nerve becomes entrapped. And wherever that nerve goes, there'll be disease and ailments. What do I mean by that? Well, we don't really consider low back pain a disease, for example, but it is an ailment. A disease may be something such as high blood pressure, although it's not an infectious disease. All of these things can manifest as a result of an impinged nerve. And
by impinged, you mean like trapped?
Just trapped.
Just trapped,
yes.
Right.
It doesn't even have to be cut off. If it's cut off, then we're really in trouble, because that's the end.
That's the end. So ideally, when the nerve is coming out of this hole or orifice,
yes,
there should be nothing touching it. Okay.
Nothing stopping it from its movement or free flow of information that's supposed to pass through there.
Okay.
You can liken it, when it becomes entrapped, you can liken it to a short circuit. So, but most importantly to the average man on the street is, well, how do I stay out of this stuff? Since we've said about 80% of people will eventually have this kind of problem. Well, we stay out of it by making sure that we maintain the curvature of the spine.
Okay.
And the only thing we can do to maintain such curvature is to make sure that we keep good posture. Good posture. We sit up straight. We make sure our ear is over our shoulder, is over our hip, is over our knee when we're standing, for example.
Do we need to chest out like the army does? They don't say chest out.
Well, I don't know
Stand up
about
straight.
chest out, but at least stand naturally enough to where you are not stressing your spine.
Okay.
Now, if we look at this, we'll see there's something saying back. It says back care program. It's really a sheet about posture. And when we look at this sheet, we'll see some people sleeping here. I don't know if you can see that clearly. And then some people sitting here. Now, sleeping and sitting, as I said earlier, are probably one of the two of the things that we use our body to do the most. So when we're talking about posture, we're really talking about how to use our body effectively, and while doing so, making sure that there's as little interference and probably even maintenance of the spine as we do so. So we have do's and don'ts of, we have do's and don'ts of sitting. Mm-hmm. We have do's and don'ts of sleeping. Mm-hmm. And these, we can see here that some of the common things that we do are listed. Sleeping face down, for example. Mm-hmm. That tends to cause a straightening of the spine.
Oh, really?
And we have spoken or talked about it earlier, saying that a straightening of the spine will lead to what we call a subluxation that now causes the joining together, or what we call spondylosis in the spine. So just by sleeping on face down for years on end, spondylosis will begin to happen. The person will now have neck pain, possibly, or more likely lower back pain. And it is not just something that you're supposed to just go and take Panadol about, but I'm sure that Doc will want to hear more about that later.
Absolutely, absolutely. So common. What is the commonest infractions that you've seen that people do?
People do.
By the way,
well, the most common infraction would be relaxing in front of the TV. That's probably the most common, that the most severe infraction. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
You'll see people who sit in front of the TV like this, or while they're relaxing, and you can see that there's a space between their buttocks and the crease in the chair.
Right.
And that space is going to put a lot of pressure on the lower back. On top of it, they have their legs straight. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
The legs are straight. So all of these are very, very serious infractions when put together over a period of time. But then, as you said earlier, probably the most common, and it's getting severe now, is this thing, neck pain as a result of techie neck.
Tech neck. That's right, tech neck. Boy, okay, so clearly we don't have nearly enough time to cover this. So I hate to stop at this point in time, but our time is up. We are going to continue this next week, so please stay tuned. Remember, sending your questions. Check up with us. Again, I'm Dr. David Ajibade with the Brain and Body Foundation. And I want to say thank you, Dr. Ogun, for making the time.
Thank you.
We definitely will see you again next week, yes?
Absolutely.
All right. Folks, stay tuned, and we will see you next week. Cheers.